Hi friends, so yes, I know the lighting is trash. Filming in the winter is hard when it gets so dark so early and you don't have a ring light. But it's the new year. Happy New Year. And so I need to get filming my end of the year videos. And so I thought if we're gonna have trash lighting, let's talk about trash books. So these are the worst books that I read in 2019. I think I have like 6. I could have included a couple more, but I kind of kept it to ones that either really disappointed me or just like really bad, because there's a couple that I could have included that also got low ratings, like 2-star ratings, but I just didn't like feel passionately about them or specifically hate certain points of them. But I will say that if I were to do honorable mentions for the worst books of 2019, Again But Better and The Wife Between Us would make that list. I think I gave both of them 2 stars. I just didn't enjoy them that much. So now let's start with the official list. This is not in any order except the last one was probably my least favorite. So let's go. First we have The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This is a thriller about a woman who rides the train every day, and her train makes a stop where she can see the backyard of these rows of houses, and she finds herself always observing this one couple in particular, and one day she sees something that shocks her, and the book goes from there. I gave this book 2 stars. It was so boring. Literally nothing happens, I feel, for the majority of it, at least nothing interesting. All of the characters were unlikable, but not even the kind of unlikable where you're like interested in them. They were just unlikable and I didn't want to read about them. And therefore, I wasn't really rooting for anyone. The only thing that kept this from being a 1 star is that the last 40 pages were pretty gripping. But otherwise, this book was just boring. I have no idea why it was compared to Gone Girl, because literally not even close. And it was just bad, and I don't understand why this book got so hyped when it first came out. The next on my list isn't a book, it's a novella, and that's Reveal Me by Tahira Mafi. Now the reason this made the list is because this is the second novella that was released this year from Kenji's point of view. The first one was in between Restore Me and Defy Me, and then this one is between Defy Me and Imagine Me. Now the first one was actually pretty good. I very much enjoyed it. But Reveal Me, let's just say it didn't reveal anything, so I'm not sure what the title was for. Like, when I tell you absolutely nothing happened and you can completely skip this book, I mean absolutely nothing happened and you can skip this book. It like kind of sets up the beginning of Imagine Me, but it could have just done that in Imagine Me, and I'm pretty sure like it will. So this was just a hot waste of my time. Next up is Elysium, which if you've watched my videos, you would know this is the book that one of my previous teachers has written, and I read it just because of that, and I have a whole video on it. I'll leave it linked down below. I went into this knowing it would be bad, so that's why it's not like the worst of the worst, but it was still horrible. It is a portal fantasy, and basically this man gets pulled in 200 years in the future, and all the inhabitants, I believe, are people that were also pulled in, and then people that were born there, I guess, and it's super futuristic and all that stuff. This main character that we follow, Gunther, is like a scientist or whatever, and he invents something that is supposed to bring them back to their world, but the government kind of takes it from him and uses it as a weapon instead, and so it's about him trying to figure out what to do when that happens. I gave this book 1 star. The world building was horrible. Randomly in like the middle of it, it starts shifting the narrative from like focusing on Gunther to this other character that they introduce, and there's like really no reason, and I was very confused as to why we were suddenly shifting from our main character. It was very heavy on the Christian message, which I knew it would be because like he writes Christian science fantasy, but like the Christianity part of it was not important to the plot. In the middle, they just randomly start going on Christian lectures, and it just like goes on this rant about like just bullshit. Like they keep asking Gunther questions like, why would you have morals if you're like an atheist? And I'm just like, what the fuck? So the Christian part like did not need to be there and was so heavy-handed and just like pushy. And the writing was lazy and cheesy, and it was just horrible. The next book on my list is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I think that's her name. This was a self-help book, which I don't normally read, but I read it for like a challenge I did of reading my library staff picks. Again, that's a video I did. I will leave it linked down below. One of my favorite videos that I did this year. So it's basically like, you know, how to stop stopping yourself from living the life that you want and achieving your goals and blah, 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 blah. If that sounds generic, you're right. This whole book was very, very, very generic. I don't feel like I really learned anything. And every new topic it would go on, I felt like it kept circling around to like the same concept and the same lesson while portraying it as different lessons. So I was like, I don't know why you're writing this. I did like its message on like self-love and stuff, but that's about it. So I gave it 2 stars. Next up is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. If you don't know, Stephen Chbosky wrote The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It's been like 20 years or so since he's come out with a new book. This is his first, and it was a horror book. Now, as you know, I'm a baby, so I don't really read horror, but I was like, it's Stephen Chbosky, I have to read it. And I found out I really didn't have to read it, nor did I have to worry about being scared, because it was creepy at times, actually, now that I think about it, but like, I was okay. Essentially, this mom and son move to this new town, I believe, and the kid goes missing in the woods for 6 days, and then he comes back and he's like seeing all these signs and messages, and he has this like mission to complete. It's really kind of weird and hard to explain because it's like supposed to be ominous, I think, you know, horror thriller. They don't want to tell you too much. What really disappointed me about this book was not just the fact that it ended up being not good, like it was Stephen Chbosky and I was hoping for it to be good, but the fact that like the first half, I would say, was really good. Like, I was gripped. I wanted to know what was gonna happen. I was trying to come up with all these different theories, but then it just kept going and going and going and just dragged out way too much. It was like 700 pages. When I felt we got to the end, we ended up having like 200 more pages, and I was like, what? Why do we have to keep going? And it made it so that I was just like trying to get through it. I don't even remember how it ended. Like, it had a cool plot and concept, but I had just wanted to finish it, that I barely even like, I don't think of it, I don't remember it. It just was really boring and way too long. It should have been like way shorter. Also, if you do end up reading this, or if you have read it, let me know if the characters kind of reminded you of Stranger Things characters, because they definitely reminded me of Stranger Things characters, like a little too close there, Stephen. And finally, the last book on my list. If you've been watching my channel this year, you can probably guess what it is. I have an entire rant review on it that I will link below. Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This is a romance book about a clown named Georgie, and she basically wants her family to take her seriously because they don't. They treat her as the baby of the family, and you know, she's a clown. And the other character is Travis, and he is an ex-baseball player who like had an injury, so he can't play anymore. He's trying to get a sort of a job as like broadcaster kind of thing, but the network is very clean and family oriented, and Travis is not, so he needs to, you know, clean himself up, make himself look better. And Georgie wants to, you know, impress her family and stuff, so they decide, let's fake date. I gave this book 1 star. The writing was atrociously cringeworthy. Every sentence made me want to die. Me and Whitney buddy read this book, and I'm pretty sure that's the only way I got through it, because we were just sending each other stuff and like reading it to each other and freaking laughing at how horrible it was. In case you forgot already that Georgie is a clown, don't worry, this book will not let you forget that she's a clown. Travis was absolutely yikes. I did just not like his character. I thought he was pretty toxic a lot of the time. There was no like flow to this book. The pacing was just not there. It honestly felt like a first draft. Like, there's a bare bones story in there. This was not it. It was not it. Again, if you want to hear more and like lines from the book and all, rant review is down below. So those were the worst books that I read in 2019. Honestly, I didn't read that many bad books. I had a really good reading year in 2019. So hopefully that is also the case in 2020. Let me know what book you hated the most in 2019. I would love to know what to avoid in the future. My favorite books of 2019 will be coming next, so look out for that. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.